Next speaker is Honorable Mangala Samaravira. You have 20 minutes.
Thank you. Garu Kathanayakatumani. Ape Vimal Virawansa Garu Emetuma Tamange Parana Pau Sodaganna Honda Vegavat Katawak Kara. Kese vetat etuma itihasaya විකෘති කරන්නට සූදානම් වෙච්ච නිසා එක කරුණක් විතරක් මම නිවැරදි කරනවා. චන්ද්‍රිකා කුමාරතුංග ජනාධිපතිතුමිය ඉන්නකොට තමයි සරත් ෆොන්සේකා මැතිතුමා හමුදාපතිවරයා කරන්නට පාර කැපුවේ. මොකද එතුමිය මං හිතන්නේ එතුමා මේක සනාථ කරයි. චන්ද්‍රිකා කුමාරතුංග මැතිනිය තමයි එතුමාට හමුදාපති වීමට අවශ්‍ය කාලය ගැසට් නිවේදනයකින් ලබා දුන්නේ. ඒ නිසා තමයි මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිවරයාට එතුමා හමුදාපතිවරයා වශයෙන් පත් කරන්නට පුළුවන් වුණේ. මම ඒ නිසා මේ වෙලාවේ ඒ විකෘති කිරීම රාශියක් තිබුණ කතාවේ ඒ විකෘති කිරීම විතරක් මේ මොහොතේදී නිවැරදි කරනවා. Mr. Speaker, exactly 1 year ago, with the defeat of the LTTE, a new window of opportunity opened for our long-suffering country. It gave us a chance to move forward along with the rest of the world to become a prosperous, democratic country, united in its ethnic diversity. As I said before, Honorable Fonseca, I mentioned it before too, I still harbor certain reservations about the way in which this war was conducted, but the defeat of one of the most brutal and ruthless killer machines the world has ever produced, the LTTE, gave Sri Lanka a wonderful opportunity to win the peace and harness the economic and social prosperity which has remained elusive for the last 62 years since independence. As you know, I'm not going to talk about history because the time is limited, but the scourge of nationalist politics. I'm talking from 1948, every time one of our leaders tried to address the genuine grievances of the Tamil people, the ugly head of the scourge of nationalist politics raised its head, and as a result, the LTT finally, as an extremist killer group, was born, representing the alienated Tamil community. And because of that, we even lost the chance of becoming the Switzerland of the East. That is what the London Times said Sri Lanka will become the day we achieved independence. Of course, during the 62 years, you know, many of the countries moved forward, especially our neighborhood. India surged forward, becoming one of the most prosperous countries. But we, Sri Lankans, and in Sri Lanka, who had the best opportunities, more so than any of our neighbors, were stuck in a quagmire of hypocrisy, intolerance, and political opportunism. And as a result, however much you shout or we shout from this side, we have to admit the sad, bitter truth today is that Sri Lanka, after 62 years of you or us or all of us governing this country, is on the verge of being a failed state. Unlike the very optimistic slogan you had for the last presidential election, third world to first world, the reality is we are on the verge of becoming a failed state. But that victory which General Fonseca and the armed forces achieved for this country gave us a wonderful opportunity. But now, 1 year later, we have to ask ourselves, we have defeated the LTT, but have we won the peace? Have we won the peace? Mr. Speaker, thanks to the armed forces, we defeated the LTT. But now it is our turn to win the peace. The leadership was given by all leaders since 1989, especially Chandrika Kumaratunga and especially Ranil Wickremesinghe, but that is another story. I can prove all my points, but Honourable, now, Mr. Speaker, the armed forces defeated the LTT and did their duty, but now winning the peace is the duty of the politicians, not the armed forces. They have done their duty, now it is our duty as politicians, as responsible people to ensure that we can win the peace. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, are we trying to win the peace? Instead of trying to win the peace, I was shocked and horrified to read a newspaper today. The Secretary of Defense is talking about hanging the very person who led the armed forces under his ministry. They are not trying to win the peace, they are actually conspiring against those who gave leadership to the victory. But what is even more distressing, sir, is that instead of using this golden opportunity to win the hearts and minds of the people, of the Tamil people, I'm talking about, the first prerequisite for a durable and lasting peace is winning the hearts and minds of the Tamil people. But we have not attempted to do so at all. The unashamedly and chauvinistic and triumphant attitude of the government has made Tamils, especially of the north and the east, feel like a subjugated race dependent on the magnanimity and generosity of the central government. While the final stages of the war was raging on, I'm sure you know, Mr. Chairman of the committees, hundreds of thousands of innocent Tamils were incarcerated in camps which were not very different from the camps of the Third Reich in the 30s in Germany. The only crime many of those Tamil people, the innocent civilians, had committed was to have been born in areas which were under the writ of the LTT for several decades. That was the only crime they committed. And I'm sure future historians will write that the first seeds of a future rebellion was sown inside these outrageous and shocking camps which the government had for several months, thanks to the national and international outrage. Many of them were allowed to go home, but even today, thousands of IDPs are still kept in so-called interim camps and are not being allowed to go home. And also, Mr. Speaker, 1 year on, instead of trying to win the hearts and minds of the Tamils, the government is trying to establish and achieve cultural and political hegemony in the north and east. What are they doing now? We hear that there are plans to readjust the demographic pattern, and now we know that they have started changing names of Tamil villages to Sinhala names. Recently, okay, you answer. Recently, sir, I have an example. Please, you answer. I'm giving an example. Recently, sir, a village in the Vanni, its name was changed to Pilimagama. Pilimagama, referring to the Buddha statue, which has recently been erected there.
Honourable Aswar.
In fact, religious crusades have become the order of the day.
Yes, Aswar.
When we